Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fabulous Fun Island. So, this is my attempt at making a theme park in MX Simulator. Not really sure if this has ever been done before here, but yeah, we got all the main attractions. We got a water slide, we got a roller coaster, we got long jump, high jump, jump in a volcano, corner practice track. I mean, we basically got it all here. So this is my first attempt at a Freeride freestyle type of track in this game, and let me just try to explain the commitment and the dedication of Spencer Turley to you real quick, okay? So I almost quit making tracks completely when I was working on this right here. So I'll just give you the short version so it doesn't take a lot of your time. Basically what happened was I spent about 100 hours building this track, was about 80% done with it, and I woke up one day and the entire track file, all the files in there were corrupt. So I lost everything, couldn't get it back, couldn't save any part of it. And then I go in there, rebuild everything from scratch, spend about another 50 hours on it. Somehow every single file gets overwritten. Couldn't get any of it back. So I went in there and made this track from like 0 to 100, scratch to full track 3 times here before I made it to this point. So yeah, I definitely went through hell and back building this thing, but it is what it is. We finally got her done here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, this is a water slide. This is kind of crazy, I understand, but you guys know how my mind works. There's no limit to the possibilities here. So yeah, basically, I don't know what to say about this. I don't even know how I came up with this. I don't know. It's like it hit my mind. I guess, okay, yeah, I'll tell you how it happened. So I started on the sort of half pipe section over there, and that's one really big thing about this track is a lot of these sections may seem kind of simple. It may seem like there's not a whole lot to the track, but I mean, you can spend so much time on just each one of these individual sections that you don't even realize it. You're like, whoa, like I can spend literally just hours and hours and hours on this half pipe section over here because it's like it runs into itself. So you can like do an infinity amount of whips. You whip up the half pipe, kind of like Axell Hodges has at his house, if you know what I'm saying. Very similar to that. It's like you can just go whip up that way, and then you come back around, whip again, go back around, whip again. And I've not really seen a whole lot of any of this in MX Simulator, so it was cool to come in here and be able to make it. But so yeah, but that's how it all started. Like I went in there and I built one half of the half pipe section. I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. This really worked in the game. Then it just all clicked in my head like, dude, why can't I just go in there and try to make a full-blown, free ride theme park style? And then it just all came together, man. So the quote-unquote roller coaster section is like a, thread the needle type of section, if you will. There has been some of those on other MX Simulator tracks, but that's basically what it is. But it's kind of in the shape of a roller coaster, so it kind of looks like it off in the distance, but it's going to be a little bit difficult for some of you guys. Just letting you know, it is a, tightrope, thread the needle type of section. It's not really meant to just be super easy where you just glide right through it like nothing. It's going to be a little bit tricky for some of you guys, but you can make it through it. I've made it through it plenty of times going this direction, and you can actually go through it the other direction too, but I think the other direction might be a little bit more tricky, if you try to do that. But one thing you might be wondering is, what's going on with the decals? Why is there like all these little white patches and splotches on the track? Well, basically, I had to go in there and really minimalize as many decals as I was putting down because this is a full free ride track here, I've got the whole entire track being used. So if I went in there and tried to do full-blown decals on every inch of the track, it would lag its ass out and you wouldn't even be able to ride on it. So that's why I kind of had to go with this. I just kind of had to put decals here and there so you get a little bit of light white sand look mixed with normal sand coloration to it. So that's why I had to go about doing that. I apologize for everything maybe looking a little bit more on the basic side, but you got to understand I'm working with a much bigger map here than I usually am on a normal like motocross or supercross track. So yeah, but it is a full-blown free ride track. I mean, you can go anywhere on it. You can just ride around. It just feels like everything just kind of works into each other. All these cool little obstacles. You can just kind of go from obstacle to obstacle anytime you want to. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Came up with this cool little, it's like a bunch of like a rutted up berm corners, and they all kind of intertwine with each other. So you can basically do this like never ending corner practice kind of thing all in between these bigger rock sections here. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those ideas I've had in my head, really wanted to make it. I seriously almost completely quit making tracks when I was working on this, though. It's hard to explain it, but when you go in there and spend like almost 200 hours working on something and you don't have anything to show for it, and you got to go back in there and build all that crap again that took you so long to get perfected, to get it the way you want it again for the third time. I don't even know how to explain how monotonous and frustrating that is, but I just sat down one day and I was like, okay, dude, screw it. Like, either I'm going to balls up and build this motherfucker again, or I'm just going to let that idea go. And I just couldn't let that idea go. I told myself, MX Simulator needs this. It needs this type of track, this cool, unique idea. And so basically that's what made me sit down for like pretty much 11, 12 hours straight without ever getting up out of the seat working on this thing after already kind of knowing what I was doing, right? Like, I'd built probably 100 different renditions of this half pipe section right here, and because believe it or not, it's actually quite tricky to get a half pipe section that works in MX Simulator, where you can actually jump it and you don't either jump too far forward on the landing or too far backwards on the landing. Like, it's actually really hard to make a decent half pipe section, and I feel like I made one that had a lot of variation to the way that you could hit it. So like this right here, either you can hit it super turned over where you're like barely coming off the ground and you can still hit the landing, or you can hit it like almost straight on and shoot like 200 foot up in the air and come back down and still have a landing. It's like I built it in a way to where you can perfectly land on the downside of the landing. But if you find yourself not being able to jump it very well, either you're not having enough pull up when you come off the face, you're not like coming up off the face good enough, or your angle might be off a little bit. So that's just something to remember about that. So obviously I'm going to have the download link down in the description below if you guys want to go download this. But here's that sort of high jump section right here. And my biggest goal for it all was to try to make it to where you could ride on all these sections with any kind of bike in the game. That was my biggest goal. It's one really hard thing to do when you've got like a high jump section or a long jump section or whatever. It's hard to make it to where a lot of bikes would work for that, but I feel like I did a decent job on that. So this right here is based off of full top speed on the 2016 KTM 450, fifth gear tapped out, and you'll land this perfectly right here. So you can kind of think of that in your head, like you could get a more top speed dyno and not have as much top speed gearing, and you could still land it decently, or whatever, but you're at least going to have a 450, like a somewhat of a newer 450 full-blown top speed to hit that long jump section. But I did put a jump in the middle that if you don't have that sort of setup, you can still at least get over that part of the track. And I kind of tried to make each one of these obstacles intertwine with each other to where they don't feel so separate. They kind of just feel like they all fluently flow together in a certain sense. So I think right here is where I kind of let off a little bit, showed you the smaller jump that you can hit. But you can easily hit that. You can come around here. This is actually a kind of like ride the wall section, kind of wall riding section up over here that you can hit. But you can jump over both of those half pipe sections on that little jump right there to the left. If you hit it wide open, you can hit this more freestyle type of jump into the volcano here. So nice little addition right there. And then you can come up out of this volcano and jump on this super big landing. Pretty easy to do it. You just got to do it a couple times. Then you can easily kind of flow through that entire section right there. Then you hit this massive where you can like climb all the way up to the moon and back and come back down. I think I actually crashed on it, but you can just do like a cool little spin around section there. And this is where you could get on that thread the needle section going backwards if you wanted to. A lot of little interesting type of jumps and stuff that I haven't even discovered that you can hit on this track. Like that right there, you can kind of like jump up on the thread the needle section without starting from the very beginning. It is a full-blown free ride type of track where you can find interesting little transitional type of jumps and different stuff like that that wasn't ever really even intended to hit. So that's another pretty cool thing about it. But yeah, man, just out here trying to put some more stuff out there for the community. And I got a lot more ideas baking up in the oven. Just got to get those coming out there. You can also go straight up the volcano from the side. And I do actually need to smooth a little bit before I fully release the track. It'll be decent whenever I actually upload this video. I'll have the link in there and it'll all be good. But I'm just saying, I'm making this video before I've gotten all the tiny little final touches on it. But I will go in there and, like, I'll show you right up here. Basically, like, if you try to come off the volcano right here on one of these actual lava spots where I've lowered it, if you try to come down, then you will smack up on that right there, and I need to smooth that out just a little bit so you can come down those certain spots on the volcano. But once I do that, it'll be all good. So yeah, bro, a lot of time was put into this. Just the being able to even imagine it in my mind took a lot of time. Not just the building aspect of it, but just, it's like I would just sit there on one obstacle and spend just so many hours trying to get it perfected, trying to get it exactly like I wanted it, and just trying to figure out the whole vibe I wanted to go for on the track and all that different stuff, man. I mean, it takes a while to do that, dude. So I'm going to go in here and show a little bit of third-person gameplay. Throwing it back old school with the Aloha gear, dude. Okay, got to go slow right here to kind of drop down into the half-pipe section. And yeah, you just find a decent speed to hit it at, and you can see you can get quite a ways up there, man. It just takes a long time to, believe it or not, I mean, it's a lot harder than you would think to make a decent half-pipe section like that. It really is. Like, especially since the fact I was building it from complete scratch. I wasn't like, you know, like really taking any elements from anybody else's track directly. I was really building it from a flat surface. Like, I wanted to build my own from the top down type of section there, and I feel like it's pretty cool. Got a couple little water sections, island sections on there. So yeah, you can hit this tall jump section. Got two little things on the side. Makes it kind of look official, if you know what I'm saying. And yeah, but that's why the off track might look a little bit more basic than what you would expect from a Spencer Turley track. It's because I'm trying to limit all the decals and objects and stuff so that this track doesn't just lag absolutely completely out on you. So yeah, this little section right here has got super traction on it. And I try to do it like that so you can just easily get all the way to the top of this water slide here. So I didn't actually make the water slick like I do on some of my other tracks. I wanted to make it a bit more simple to get down the water slide section, but it is a bit of a challenge to even make it to the bottom. You're going to have to work your brakes a little bit. I mean, it is actually like a bit of a section to even get down it. You can't just ride down it. You basically have to you know, work your brakes, work your turning, figure out what you're doing, but it's a lot of fun, man. I mean, when you pop over the crest of that right there, it really does give you the feeling like you're going down a real-life water slide, even though it's in a motocross video game. I don't know how it does it, but it does, man. Like, it gives you that feeling, so I thought that was just a really cool thing that it was able to create with how much angle I got peaked down on this right here. So, yeah, and then it flows right into this little water pond here. And, yeah, but like I said, I mean, you know, it can seem kind of like maybe the track's a bit more on maybe like a basic look overall. Like basic, some of the sections might seem kind of simplistic, but once you get into it and you realize how much is actually in the track and how long you can spend on each one of these individual sections, you'll realize how it really is a fully completed track here. So here's a little bit of just a small little, you know, full circle rut section. Not like super hardcore. It's pretty smoothed off, but wanted to at least throw one of those in there. So, yeah, man, having a ton of fun making tracks again. Other than the fact that I basically had to build 6 tracks from start to finish just to make this track with all the problems that I went through. But I'm good now, man. Now that I actually made it, got her done, I feel good about it, and we're going to get back in there and making some more stuff. There's nothing that makes me more happy than being able to go in there, do something like this, and just give it to the community. You know what I'm saying? I ain't charging people for this. This ain't like, oh, dog, you owe me for this. Like, I'm just making the MX Simulator community better. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I love doing. This is actually my favorite thing to do right here. Of all YouTube videos, all that type of stuff, this is what gives me the most joy out of all of it. So, yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoy it. Just be patient on some of these sections, right? It's going to be very, very tricky right up in here. It'll give you a rewarding feeling when you get all the way through this thread the needle type of section. But yeah, let me just tell you guys, I'm about to start going off on these custom tracks. I'm about to get into it like I did at the very get-go of when I started doing all this stuff, man. Been out of the game for a minute. Like, haven't really made a whole lot. I think I made like one this year maybe, which is despicable. Like, I can't be doing that, man. I got to man up and start making more of these. And I love to do it. It's just, I guess I just went through a phase of it wasn't as important, or I felt like it wasn't, or wasn't having as much fun with it, stuff like that. But now it's fun to me again. Now it's like I get the joy that I got from the beginning out of it again, because I'm able to come up with really unique and cool design stuff that you've never really seen in MX Simulator. And that's what's cool to me, is being that sort of pioneer, innovator. Like, people can always look back and be like, okay, wow, that I've never seen that before in MX Simulator, you know, stuff like that. I love that. That's what gets me going, dude. That is, if there is any one thing that Spencer Turley likes to do, it's make something that no one else has ever made before. That is me to a T. So, yeah, man, track link down below. Don't forget, you guys can always donate down below. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, hey, donate to me or whatever, but I'm just letting you guys know there is a link to that if you want to do that. Don't feel pressured or anything. I totally understand if you can or if you don't want to, but obviously you can follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Xbox Live, Steam, all that different stuff. PlayStation Network is just Spencer Turley, no space, no capital. I have all my custom tracks in a playlist on my front page called My Custom Track. It's like the first playlist right there, so you can go in there and see all of my 60-plus custom tracks that I made for this game. And yeah, man, either way, just enjoy the track. Just have a little bit of fun on it, man. Go play around on some of the sections, and once you ride on them a couple times, then you'll start realizing how much fun they can be. Some of them might feel a little bit weird at first, but once you get to feeling what the track's all about, then you'll understand. You know, it's hard to make a theme park track in a motocross game. It's hard to do that. So, you know, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. You got to look at it like, well, that's about as good as you could make a water slide in a motocross video game, that you can't actually make a water slide that looks 100% like a water slide. You get what I'm saying? Like, I did all I could with what I had here, pretty much. So, yeah, just all these sections, man. Just can't even explain the amount of time was put in. It just, oh boy, but it's all worth it. All worth it at the end of the day when you can make something like this. It really is, man. So either way, I appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.